Hi and welcome to Info 220. This time we're going to be working with if statements. First of all, we have two scenarios. One is pricing group A and one is pricing group B. With pricing group A, we have the cost per gallon for orders under 500 gallons and the cost per gallon for orders that are equal to or greater than 500 gallons for group A. For group B, we have cost per gallon for the first 500 gallons and cost per gallon for anything above 500. So we need to be able to do if statements for both costs. Now for cost A, we're going to be looking at our values that are located in column F. We need to make a statement that says if it is true, basically saying that if it's under 500 gallons, we're going to multiply that by the value in D3. If it is not true, we're going to multiply it by the value in D4. So here's our equation. We have if, and that comes from our functions. If you type in equal if, you will see it come up and you can double click on the function and then you fill in F3 minus, F3 is less than 500. So for example, any value less than 500. The if statement is broken up into three parts. The first part is the logical test. The second part is if it's true, and the third part if it's false. So in this case, if F3 is less than 500, we're going to multiply F3 by the value in D3. Also notice we made this absolutes because when we drag our formula, we still want to point back to pricing group A only. Now, if it is false, we're going to take F3 times $D $4, and we will also make that an absolute. So our first value we get is 4,554. When we copy it, for example, the bottom is false. So in this case, F6 is greater than 500, which means it's going to calculate the last part of this formula. Okay, now for cost B. We want to give for the first 500 gallons a price of $24. If anybody orders above 500 gallons, we're going to cost that out at $18. However, there is a little bit of math involved. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you can see. Now, we still are going to create our if statement, but what we're going to do is if it's true, we're just going to multiply the value in F3 times the value in F8. But if it's false, we need to price out our first 500 gallons first. Then we subtract our first 500 gallons from our order, and then what's left will be above 500 gallons, and we're going to price it at the value in D9. So this if statement would be written if F3 is less than or equal to 500. If it's true, we take F3 and multiply it by the value in D8. If it's false, we take the first 500 and we multiply that by D3 because we already know that it is equal to or more than 500. So we're going to take the 500, multiply it by the value that is actually, that value should be the value in D8. And then we're going to subtract our value where we're going to take F3 minus 500. So in this case, let's look at the bottom one. At 1675, when we take out 500, that leaves 1175. The 1175 will get multiplied by the value in D9. So when we hit enter, we get 32,650. So that is how we create an if statement that uses either the pricing group A or pricing group B. Remember, an if statement can use a logical test, value if true, and that could be simple as text or a calculated formula, and the value of false, which also could be text or a calculated formula.